E3O Files is your new hub. We expose and educate social injustice, explore nature and the world. At your fingertips. Join the exposition. We take pride. At E3O Files, we will now reveal.
Excuse me. Hi, welcome back to E3O Files. Here we expose, educate, explore, and oppose. Today I'm bringing you with me to Ireland from November 2024. Not currently, but in the past, yes. And yeah, I picked November on purpose, because not many people are going to be traveling to Ireland because it's cold, it's wet, and it's rainy for the most part. But November is nice because they still have Christmas lights up preparing for December. So you're getting that Christmas vibe, those joyous Christmas spirit in November without having to go to a crowded place for Christmas. You know what I mean? So I wasn't going there for any summer reasons. I don't mind. I don't mind the cold in that way. And I just wanted to go to Ireland for my birthday, November 7th. And it's Thanksgiving, so it would be like a Thanksgiving, Christmas, and birthday all in one. It was amazing. It was worth it. And I wanted Ireland in everything. I dressed up with my black dress, looked like Harry Potter with my glasses on, and it was fun. And they weren't prescription. They were just for a vibe, a look. Yeah, so it was great. If you want the visuals, the photos, video reels, even I didn't take a picture of the guy with the checkered pants because I don't think that would be okay. I don't want to take pictures of people unless it's for like a point that I'm trying to make. So anyway, you can see all of my YouTube channel videos, and you can just take a look at it on terroronthebench.com. I don't really like Instagram. I don't want to use Instagram, and I'm not going to. So, I mean, I have one for E3O Files, but I don't do that to post my life. I kind of just post the things that are relevant to the topics at hand. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm a black woman, and I wanted to go to Ireland because since I was a kid, I wanted to go to Ireland. I would cut out National Geographic photos of the Isle of Skye, their green, lush grass fields. It's just so amazing. I said to myself, I gotta come here one day. And guess what? Yay, I did it. And it was way cool, okay? Did I feel strange being there? Not really. Not that strange. The fact that I want to go to Ireland itself is kind of strange in itself, but it's a thing where I'm going to go because there's a reason for me to go. Maybe it's that I need to prove to myself that I can do what I wish to do. And, I'm just obedient in knowing what I want to do, what goals I want to accomplish. And when you successfully check off one of those things, you just begin to believe that you can accomplish whatever you want, even if it is just traveling somewhere that you've always wanted to travel to. It sets precedent for your future endeavors and being able to do those things. But was I strange, or did I feel strange? No. I mean, people came up to me and were like, wow, it's so cool seeing you do this on your own. How old are you? And my daughter would never do this. And this is coming from, I'm gonna say white people who, have their kids with them, their daughters that are like maybe my age or like teenagers or young adults. And they're saying, my daughter would never do this on her own. And I'm like, really? That sucks. But, for me, I don't really mind. I don't really like to wait for people that much unless it's somebody who I know kind of has the same way of traveling like me and just mind just going here and there, just kind of free roaming, like a NPC in Grand Theft Auto. And I saw plenty of African people, maybe from London, that reaffirmed that, did I use that word right? Just reassured me that, it's still a place, still planet Earth. It's not like you're an alien on a different planet. But yeah, I definitely looked different because I had like pigtails, I had a backpack, whatever. And I would say that, it's still a new space. I definitely stood out sometimes, but not in a hostile way. More like, oh, she's different, and that was it, honestly. I could live with that. It wasn't the kind of attention that drains you or makes you nervous. Everybody was kind of not even paying attention to you. They're just walking, taking their, getting on the double-decker buses, going to work, walking. They didn't care. They were not looking at you. They were not wanting to talk to you. and they were kind of like not friendly, to be for real. Like, they were like, "Hey, what do you want?" Like, I was ordering something, they'll be like, "What do you want?" Or like something, and so it wasn't something I was worried about, for real. Now, I'm the type of person to enjoy the scenery, be an observer. I really like observing without asking questions. Well, I do ask questions. Never mind, let me take that back. I do like to ask questions, but I'd also like to observe. So I'm observing and then I ask these questions. And I didn't want to just enjoy this tour without asking questions. Yes, the tour guide was giving you information, but I needed to know specific things. I wanted to know what was really happening in Ireland beneath all the castles, pubs, and rolling green hills because they're beautiful. So I ended up talking to my tour guide, TJ. He's Irish. He's lived here. He knows his country. And I wanted his perspective on what's changing here. Let me set it up for you. This was recorded live on the trip. I asked him, hey, can I record you for my podcast? And he said, yeah, definitely. Definitely. He sounded like this. Definitely. And so this is a few things that I asked him. I'm going to go through a few questions and then provide relevant information that supports some of the things that he says, and then we can get a better idea as to where Ireland is, their history, and what their future looks like. Okay, so let's begin. So I asked him, all right, TJ, thanks for sitting with me for a few minutes. First question, what change have you seen here in Ireland so far that you're actually pleased with? Here's his response.
The fact that we now have peace on the island. When I was growing up, that wasn't so much the case. We had troubles in Northern Ireland, and the fact that the whole peace process is working, it has helped to let the world know that we're much more welcoming and happy to see people from all over the world come visit.
And he's not wrong. Ireland has seen huge shifts in just the last, let's say, decade, from 2013 to 2023. GDP growth averaged over 5% a year, one of the fastest in Europe. Tech companies set up shop, foreign investment exploded, and that's not really my opinion. That's actually straight from Irish Central Statistics Office.
The European Union in 1973, the country opened itself to the single largest market, which provided it with fertile ground to build itself up. It was during the 1990s, however, that Ireland's policymakers began implementing policies that would lead the country away from its agricultural reliance. The government invested heavily in infrastructure, education, and technology. So much so that by 2000, Ireland's economy was already outpacing many of its EU counterparts. The Irish government began working hard to build relationships with multinational companies by offering incentives to locate their operations in Ireland. Ireland's exports to the UK dropped dramatically to only 13% of total exports in 2021 from 33%. Ireland also increased its trade deals with other EU nations, such as Germany and France. In the tech sector, with more global technology companies now having their offices or outrightly relocating their operations to Ireland altogether, the country's role as a hub for innovation and research was skyrocketing. Companies such as Google, PayPal, Facebook, and LinkedIn all have their headquarters in Europe, located in Dublin, which generates billions of dollars in investment in the city. This shift allowed Ireland to be among the strongest economies in Europe as GDP grew more than 6% in 2020, despite the odds presented by the coronavirus pandemic. Aside from its whopping export figures, Ireland has also remained committed to renewable energy and sustainable development. Ireland has taken a quantum leap towards a greener economy, with greater emphasis on tapping renewable energy. The government recently approved a series of investment policies in green technology, such as wind and solar power. The move was directed towards positioning Ireland as the champion of Europe's green revolution. Despite its prosperity, Ireland's economy has not yet allowed its high growth to trickle down to all aspects of its society, especially rural societies, where some segments have lagged behind. Ireland's increasing housing costs have also caused some discomfort to its citizens, as most of them are unable to afford rent.
The next thing I wanted to ask him was about growth. What aspect of growth do you see as the most impactful in Waterford, Dublin, or across the island?
Well, I think the fact that nowadays, because the UK have left the European Union, we're the only English-speaking country in the European Union. And the fact that we are open for business with the rest of the world economically helps us be a strength in Europe for people to deal with from outside.
Construction and tech. Dublin skyline has cranes everywhere. I watched city sweepers, things you don't see in America. You don't see street sweepers like sweeping up trash on the side of the road. That's great. That's awesome that they have that. I saw a sign that said development by 2025, and it's great. That was cool. And of course, they like their tourism. People love to go to Ireland for tourism, so they benefit off of people touring the area, just like Hawaii or Florida. People go to these places. They're very heavy in tourist traffic. Heavy investment in housing projects and port upgrades. These aren't small changes. They're reshaping the cities.
In 1987, a minority government took office and decided to get Ireland's finances in order. The country's huge unemployment, lack of wage growth, and debt issues had been a red flag to foreign investors. The new government immediately decided to crack down on public spending and slashed a planned program of expenditure. Public servants expecting a raise were fuming, but the government was able to reclaim some precious revenue. The government then embarked on what it called a program for national recovery. The programs basically entail bargaining with trade unions and coming to an agreement on long-awaited wage rises, with the promise of tax breaks. This led to fewer labor disputes, and it really set the scene for a more favorable image of Ireland to overseas investors. With its finances slowly becoming sorted, Ireland was on the right path. Still had work to do, though. In the mid-1980s, Ireland was notorious for having one of the worst telecommunication systems in Europe. It had been a major source of frustration for foreign businesses, and the Irish government realized that it needed a complete overhaul. Instead of privatizing, though, the government decided to go all in and increase funding to deliver a truly world-class telecommunication system. The late 80s also saw Ireland invest in another crucial area: education. More universities and more funding into key areas of study such as, again, technology and science meant that Ireland was now beginning to catch the eye of global heavyweights like Apple. By 1993, Ireland boasted the OECD's largest number of science and technical graduates in the 25 to 34-year-old age group. A formerly run-down area near the Dublin docks was given a complete facelift and repackaged as Ireland's International Finances Services Centre. Establishing a financial district was a critical moment in Ireland's economic transformation. It signaled the shift from a traditionally agricultural-based economy to a knowledge and services-based economy. The real icing on the cake, though, came from the form of tax incentives. The 1997 Taxes and Consolidated Acts allowed Ireland in the legal standing to introduce huge corporate tax cuts, which, again, that was a bold effort to lure American multinationals.
Next thing I wanted to ask him was, do you think all this new construction, especially in Waterford, is actually good for the economy, or is it just hype?
Absolutely. There's construction going on everywhere. It's anywhere you see any growth or any business like that, of course, it's always welcome, to see people advancing and to see the country progressing.
And this is the debate. Some say it's fueling jobs and boosting the economy. Others worry about housing prices shooting up. Fact checked, Ireland's rental prices hit record highs in 2024, according to daft.ie. Growth, yes, but affordable for who, though? And they're nice houses. He was telling me about all the architecture. They still have the little shoe sweepers where you put your shoe in and then you wipe your feet off. Just classic.
Ireland doesn't have enough houses for people to live in, and yet somehow up to 60% of upper floors in Irish city centres are vacant. Thousands of people commute into cities every single day to work, to study, to socialise, while right above them, thousands of rooms lie completely empty in the middle of a city, within walking distance of everything they need. Our cities lack the autonomy and leadership to address these problems. Estimates suggest that we could house between 4,000 and 6,000 people in Cork or Limerick alone, in buildings that already exist. But we don't. Instead, we let our historic cores rot. Totally fine, don't worry about it. Other countries don't do this. Their cities are for living. They've brought life back into their cores, turned dead spaces into homes.
I will argue, though, that America and places like Chicago, we've got Buffalo, we've got Detroit, they have the same problem. There's houses, abandoned eyesores, and a lot of times we see a lot of new construction with apartments, but yet we're seeing these eyesores. Why can't we take those down and rebuild them into something more beneficial to people and look different, look more modern? So it's kind of the same thing here in America. I would say that it's not just an Ireland thing.
The solution to the housing crisis is literally sprouting out of the ground, and we're letting other countries build with it. Timber-framed homes are faster to build, easier to insulate, cheaper to heat, and dramatically lower in emissions. They're not some green fantasy. They're the standard in countries like Sweden, Austria, Finland, and Canada.
And also to note, Buffalo architecture is very similar to Ireland. They both kind of take on each other's inspiration. For my fourth question, I wanted to ask about personal impact. How has this growth actually helped you or anyone you know?
It's been beneficial for everybody. It's tourism is probably the most important industry that we have in the country, and we're a very open, warm, welcoming people. And I like to think that people get good service and a land of nice welcomes when they come.
That's the human side. It's not just about GDP numbers. Jobs in tech, tourism, and construction put food on people's tables. But we really can't forget about the growth also stretches healthcare, housing, and transport. The balance between them all really matter. Before I go on any further with questions, let me just switch gears for a minute and just share a little snippet of my experience because it was great. The skating rink, $20. It wasn't worth it because the blades of frontals aren't usually the best. I kind of just wanted to try it knowing that it was going to be a poor experience of the skates itself, but the experience of skating in Ireland, ice skating, that's what I was going for. That's really what mattered. And the ice was bad, the rink was small, but the Christmas lights, the fact of being in Ireland, ice skating, doing something that I love, beautiful. That was enough. And then this man came up to me. He looked like he was from Les Mis. He was in checkered pants, like a weird top, like a hat, not a top hat, but it was similar. It gave the same vibe of, the thieves from Les Mis. I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying he was giving of that. And he asked if my hair was real as I was walking forward. He walked by and then he turned around, walked backwards, and asked me at the same time, was my hair real? And I looked at him and smiled. I said, yeah, my hair's real. And he was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like turning around because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I should proceed with the conversation, but then I remembered what my mom and family was like, oh, be careful, don't talk to strangers, But then I was like, he might not be. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, I didn't take it as an offense, though. Definitely not. Because, I look different from them. So, and the tour buses were on time. You have to be there promptly at the time that they tell you, or they will leave you. They'll wait, but they'll leave you, and hopefully you know your way back in this place you're not familiar with. But they were very kind, and I was on my P's and Q's, so. And so going back to the questions that I was asking TJ, one was about Dublin and what it still needs. Last one, TJ, what else would you like to see in Dublin when it comes to growth?
New buildings, new green spaces. Dublin is lacking a lot in housing. So it's a city that has spread out rather than up. And I think in the future, it's a city that could develop property-wise for people to live. It's a city that future development, they could start going up as opposed to spreading out. We don't have many high-rise buildings, but I think that would be an option for the future.
So yeah, Dublin's got a lot of momentum, but locals want infrastructure, better transit, housing that isn't priced like Manhattan, and smarter energy use. But fact, Ireland already generates about 40% of its electricity from renewables, but they're pushing for 80% by 2030.
Harnessing the power of the sun to help us generate 5 times more clean electricity by 2030. Find out more at esb.ie.
And now, folks, I want to hear from you. What makes or breaks a trip for you? The people, the food, the moments similar to the checkered pants man? Just tell me, what do you think? Drop your answers on terraonthebench.com or YouTube or here, and I'll read some of them in the next video. Ireland in November showed me growth that's real in a city, not just, the out cosmetic look to the place. Being Black and solo there didn't feel isolating. It felt like just stepping into a different place that I hadn't lived, maybe in my other life, or maybe in a different version of me. I was Irish. That's why I was like, is it in my DNA? This is weird. This is crazy. Would I go back? Absolutely. I plan on going back to Ireland and Scotland and really kind of just roam around some more. But I'm not gonna go ice skating there. No. That would $20 is crazy. It's like you're going to Rotary Rink in New York City or something. And don't forget to check out the visuals on YouTube, the breakdown on terroronthebench.com, and support the show if you like these deep dives and experiences. And our next videos, we're going to be talking about specific things. So thank you. Till next time. Bye.